What's up, Gregs? Welcome to another episode of painting things really well, like really well, and then covering them with crackle paste so you can barely see them. Painting lava bases is one of our most popular videos, but did you know you can do it easier and faster? Well, now you do, and next you'll see. We wanted to remake this video so we could update the technique, which has fast become one of the easiest bases I actually put on miniatures, minutes to do, if, of course, you ignore the hours to dry. Anyway, while we're here, let's take a look at the new Army Painters Fanatic range of paints, take them for a spin and try them out. First things first, prime your base. I've splashed some black primer on this one just because I wanted to test out the coverage of these new paints, see how strong the pigments are and how quickly they can cover up black. But if you do use white, you'll get a brighter looking colour right off the bat, or you could even go fancy pants and use a red primer so it'll have done half the work for you. With the base ready to roll, let's add the first colour, pure red. I'm using this neat, no ice, no water, straight from the bottle. Slap it all over the base and give this coat a minute to dry, well, a couple of minutes to dry before we add the second coat. Once you're ready to go, add that second coat on, and while it is still wet, let's add the next colour. This is the very aptly named lava orange. By adding it on top while the red was still wet, the paints will start to naturally mix and swirl together, forming a free lava-looking formation. Splash this orange on in some random places, move it around gently, caressing it softly, like you wanted to make it to a second date. And then once you're on that second date, let's throw it a curveball and bust out yellow. We're going to use the same technique, softly catchy monkey, gently adding this to the center of those orange pools you just added, making it look like the lava is hotter and hotter. Make sure you do this all while it's nice and wet, and it's going to mix and flow very easily. Basically, the paint pools will form themselves. Now move all those paints around until you get a pattern you are more or less happy with. But don't worry too much, it doesn't even need to be close to perfect, as we're going to cover most of it in the next step anyway, and you'll only see a few splashes poking between the cracks. As a bonus, I've added a fourth plain white colour, representing the hottest bits of the lava. I actually don't normally do this, but I wanted to give it a try for this video, a little example of extra depth. Obviously, it's subjective. I personally find the white makes it look like you kind of missed a bit of the base and you've missed some paint off of it. It's not necessarily for me. If you don't like it, skip it. And if you do like it, this is what white looks like. Right now, you're probably looking at your watch and you are gobsmacked. This is less than 5 minutes since I started painting this, and that's right, it is crazy quick. The next bit takes just about as long again though, because you need to wait for those colours to dry thoroughly, so leave them for another 5-10 minutes, make sure they're completely dry. If you're batch painting, this is just where you move on to the next base, otherwise go make yourself a well-earned cup of tea. Once it is dry, you are ready for the final painting part, and that is taking whatever it's called. It says in my notes. What is it called? Where is it? Now that is taking Mordant Earth, Citadel's colour technical paint. It's a crackle paint. It's a crackle paste. You slap it on and it's going to crack. You want to generously apply this over the top of your beautiful paint job so far. The thicker you apply this paint, the bigger the chunks and the cracks that will form, and a thin layer will produce lots and lots of teeny tiny yellow polka dot bikini cracks, which you may or may not want, but personally, I've never applied this paint too thick in my life, but too thin can make me kind of sad. You want to aim for about 1 millimeter or 2 of thickness, just don't be stingy. Now the next bit is actually really time consuming, but you don't need to do anything at all, you've just got to wait for this to dry. I did try and make a sweet time-lapse video of this happening, but after I waited for 2.5 hours, I kind of got bored and wanted to go to bed, so I stopped my camera. Obviously, if you're not filming it, just leave this to dry overnight, and when you come back in the morning, you're going to have a beautiful little lava base to look at. I am super happy with these results, and I have been for quite some time. That was really quick and really easy. We do need to do a quick tidy up with a little rim job, grab a black paint and just tidy up the edge, making the lava base pop and stand out even more. This has honestly become one of the fastest, no effort bases I now create for my miniatures. Speaking of which, let's slap a miniature on top of this so we can admire how cool he can look on this kind of base. I find salamanders suit this really well. Here's one I speed painted up previously, and giving it a speed base both keeps it very quick to produce and also makes it just look a lot better. I had a black base before, and now with 5 minutes more work, it looks more professional and more complete. Don't forget to give this a varnish. Let's go and do that now. For that, we're going to have to head outside. Now guys, don't forget, by going outside to varnish these, I am risking my life. I live in the UK. It's freezing cold right here, right now. Could get pneumonia, but that is the dedication I have. I'm willing to put my life on the line for you guys. There we go, all done. That's going to add a level of protection to the crackle paint and help it stay firmly in place. Now, one final piece of painting you can do optionally is lightly highlight up the black. Using a fairly dark grey, I just lightly dry brush over the top of the base. Very gently and very slowly. You can honestly skip this step if you want. I do find it adds a little bit more depth to the base and makes it a little bit more finished. But it is a tedious step and it does take a couple of minutes more. For a centerpiece, it's the sort of thing I'd take the time to do. If it's just a horde, I'll probably skip the highlighting just to avoid the risk of breaking off any of that crackle paint. Well, that's it. Nothing more to show, nothing more to do. It's that straightforward, it's that simple, and it is that easy. I'm super happy with the results, and they'll only get better and better the more I do over time. I do have to add that I'm also incredibly impressed with the new Army Painter paint range for creating these lava colours. Not only do they have fantastic coverage, but they just come out of the bottle like the right consistency. I didn't have to add or thin the paints, and they swirled and they had the right level of moisture. Didn't use them in a wet palette or anything like that, as you saw them in the videos as they came out. Do you guys have any extra tips for painting lava? Do please leave them in the comments for others and myself to learn from. Now don't forget to subscribe to us as we climb to 100,000 subscribers. Every 10,000 subscriber milestones, we're going to be picking one of you for a free mega set of speed paint. And then when we hit the final 100,000 goal, one of you will find yourselves on the receiving end of the complete speed paint set. You've watched it. Now go and paint it. Something like that.